Hi, it's Nancy with Gardens Grow, and today we're going to be in in May the 14th and 15th, and I did a little series of Time Marches On in the garden, and time is marching on with us today too in 2019, and I'm getting better from my surgery. I still do need pain medicine. I just a wuss, I guess. But anyway, it is getting better. I'm moving forward, moving past it little by little. And I hope you enjoy the garden today as time marches on in the garden. Time marches on in the garden. You notice the seasons first in the garden. Right now I'm just trying to find the time when I get all my pots filled out. I've got many of them done, and they are beginning to fill out. Some of them are beginning to do like this little one right here and die. And that, I would not be surprised if that's not due to a snail. I'll check that out after a while and see if there's anything I can do for you. Some of them are looking really good though. This one's filling out nicely. And I remember a time when the snail took that one away from me, and it never did get quite as pretty again for that season. I can see back here those pretty little impatiens that I put in there are just dwindling down, and I think the reason they're dwindling is because they're being eaten. I like this little rooster with the red impatiens in there. I put some perlite, the white stuff there on the top of some of the pots, hoping, and I'm going to see if that might deter those snails a bit, but I'll just have to wait and see. I'm not sure if that make any difference at all. They haven't gotten into my coleus in this pot yet, but the little matching lipstick pink impatiens that were in there with them are nothing left but a little stalk or stem. And I've still got a whole bunch of stuff right here that I need to get in pots. We've been going to weddings and graduations and so many other things that I just can't stay with the garden to get it done. Not that I could get it done in a day anyway. It just takes a long time to get it all done. My roses are beginning to bloom. I really love these, the old roses that were here when we moved to this house. But also a lot of mine that I purchased of different colors are going back to this rose. And I've heard that it's because they die back to the place where they were grafted, and the where the root that they were grafted onto takes back over. So this is a rose you can depend on to last through the ice and snow and frost and freeze, and just it's very hardy. I guess my others were not, because I lost a bunch of them. We do have, look at this one here, isn't that gorgeous? I think I'm going to try to plant it with that little one right back there. So I'm kind of anxious to get that done, and hopefully they'll look great. And I did actually order some more perennials this year too. I didn't do the perennials last year, but I did get a few this year, and there's several I want still in the garden. I love to have a tremendous amount of variety if I can, but I do have a lot of pots done, or at least started, but there's just so many more that that aren't started, and so many that I'm going to have to wait till they come back from dormancy from the winter. We're keeping them inside the house. I certainly hope this little one will come back here. It's called a copper plant, and I had a root saved in the window, or several actually, but only one of them made it, and when I brought it outside, it's not doing, I think, well, it may be dead. I hate to even say that, but I hope it will be all right. I see that wind got up and tipped my little chair over here. I might have to wait till I can come back out and use both hands for that job. But anyway, that's where we are in the garden today, and I need to get a lot done. I would like to get a lot done and feel good about that. To come back out here and get that little chair. It's totally turned over onto some of my pots, so I'll have to get that cleaned up. There's absolutely always something going on in the garden. These are the pots I'm hoping to get done today, as I did this one right here in the back, and then this one I would like to do. This one I would like to finish up. Or do. I haven't actually done anything in there. The only thing that's in there is that pretty little pink dianthus, and it came back from last season. This little pot hasn't been done. This little pot has not been done. But hopefully the next time I show them to you, they'll be filled out. Hopefully I'll get that done today. This one needs to be finished off too, or done. The only thing that's left in her is also the dianthus from last year. So hopefully I'll get all of that done. Several pots here that aren't done, and I probably will take this little pot out. It's falling apart on me, and these up here I'll probably keep at least for this year. So that's where we are again today, and I'll go here in the back in just a moment. Well, I got that picked back up, but it also had fallen over onto my little fairy garden. So she's a little lopsided this morning. I'll have to see if I can't straighten her up a little better than that too. And I also wanted to show you that I did find another purple alyssum and put down here in the bottom part of this, and I hope it will put its little roots down and fill that out and do well. And also there was another thing that was dumped over, and that was the little pot right back here in the back that had the little girl in it with the blue flax. So I put that dirt back in its pot, and I'll have to put some water back in there, make sure it settles in good, and put the little girl back up on her position, or her station. I had to get some more of the trailing plum coleus, stained glass plum coleus. Isn't that pretty? I'll see you in the back in a minute. So here we are in the back garden, and a lot has been done back here. A lot has been done back here. We have just really worked on a lot of stuff back here. I should take you over and show you that one little peony for sure. And look here, the hardy geranium is blooming this morning. Here's the peony I wanted to show you. Isn't that pretty? This is one of the things we've done, is to dig this little trench on the side of our fence to try to get a place where we can, where it won't, the grass from the neighbor's yard won't grow in so badly, and we won't have to be using the liquid edger so much. That's the plan. Hopefully that will work nicely. But I've got lots of pretty pots filled up back here. But there's just probably just about as many that aren't filled up that I still need to fill if I'm going to. I keep telling myself I'm going to cut back on the pots, but it's hard to let go of having pots in the garden in certain places where you used to having one, and then if you don't, it's kind of like it's missing something. So, but I'm sure one of these days I'll get it down to where I can handle it, because it just has to be done. But right now it's just, I'm still wanting to fill up every little pot, which I just put rose moss in these little pots here. I noticed on one of my posts I called rose moss moss raw. What did I call it? Let's see, rose moss, and I called it Mose Ross. So if you find the post that I said Mose Ross in, just know that that's not a new plant. It's just a slip of the tongue. So I was looking back at some of my posts, and I had said I hope that I get to show you this when it's in bloom, and so I want to just back up and show this one to you, and then we can close up on it too. But it's like a little umbrella trellis, and that pretty clematis is in bloom all over the top of it. It's really pretty. Oh look, I had this little rose blooming this morning. Isn't that pretty? And it's one of the ones that didn't go back to the old rose color. I can't really remember the name of that one, but it's a pretty thing. There's some more peonies. I think these may be also Sarah Bernhardt peonies. This one did go back to the old rose, and the one I had there was called Ebb Tide, and it was so pretty. It's prettier in real than it was in pictures. It's so pretty. It just, I actually ordered another one. I don't want to leave it there without it being there if I can keep one there, but I'm not sure if they're all going to continue to go back to rose moss. I told you in one, to the old rose. I told you in one that these would get up and over the little fairies, and they've already done so on that one right there. I think I'm going to try to just get some taller little stands if I can find some. And then these back here, I was kind of disappointed that all this had just clustered up and looks something like water grass growing back here. Thought about, taking some of it out, but then it bloomed. This is the Widow's Tears. It bloomed this pretty pink, and I realized why I had not taken that out or thinned it out, which I may do sometime in the future anyway, to thin it out. But isn't it pretty this morning blooming? These pots back here on this fence are the ones, some of the ones that I have not got anything in at all. This one here, I've got it ready, but still haven't got anything in it. Clematis looking good this morning. The larkspur It's blooming, looking good. I need some pink. There's a pink larkspur too, and I need to get some of that out in the garden. The blue seems to always be prevalent, but these little pots, they look really good when they have something in them. This little pot. There's also, well, let me get this little peony first so you can see it. It's not been in bloom very long. So pretty. A few of my little transplanted roses are beginning to appreciate the water that I got, which I finally did get my soaker hose lined up back here and turned on for them. Not all of them are as happy as you can see right here. This one is not sure it's gonna make it, but I'm gonna still hope for it too. It still could. Another pot that needs to be filled. Another pot that needs to be filled. And this little pot, this is the one I started to tell you. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out of here. It looks pretty there, but it's not gonna live there. It just doesn't have enough water retention in this little pot to give it the water it needs. But I'll probably put a succulent or something else there in its place. I don't know if I yet got this little bloom on for you to see. It's a pretty little peony too. And then there's still pots down this side. Almost this whole fence I need to redo. I have done those two there on the very end. The one, actually, everything just came back in it, and then the one in the back, it came back, but it doesn't look good. I've got to redo that. This is a pretty little rose also. Oh, and I was going to show you that my dahlias are coming up. Let me get over here so I can show you a little better. Not all of them, but some of them are beginning to poke their heads up. That one's fairly big. This one over here. They seem to do well in this spot. I put them in several places, and this one they seem to do the best. So I try to save this spot in the garden for them because they're so pretty. I love a dahlia, especially the big dahlias, but they're all pretty. They're all very pretty. Another garden job that needs to be done. This little thing is broken. I'll have to see if I can get something to hold that up. But there, like I said just a few minutes ago, there's always something that needs to be done in the garden. Oh, look, here's some more of those widow's chairs, but these are double. Let's see if I can get closer without blurring it out for you. Sometimes I try to get closer so you can see it better, and I just end up with it blurred. And then I have dahlias over. That's another Arkansas star flower. Insomnia or something. I'm not exactly sure how that's pronounced. But, and there's more dahlias coming up. So hopefully they'll be very pretty, and hopefully I'll have this most of this week. I only know of one day that I probably will not be able to spend a lot of time in the garden. We got these little live traps for a little rabbit that was out here, and I just ended up leaving them out here. That I never did catch that one little rabbit, but I haven't seen him in a while, so maybe he finally went on his merry little way. Which I didn't want to kill him. I just wanted him to stop eating the things in my garden before they got a chance to even bloom. This verbena is really looking pretty for me. I'm very happy with that. I wish all the verbena and the impatiens would be looking at least that good. Oh, and this little rose I didn't show you. We had another one back here which went back to the old roses, but this little rose here isn't that pretty. It's a single rose and just lovely. There's one back here that I missed too. I might go ahead and take you around one more time around. Let's see, here's this pretty little umbrella clothesline from the other side. I'll just get it there so you can see it there too. And then I'll go back around and see if that one little rose is blooming so you can see it also. It was blooming yesterday, so hopefully it still will be. Yes, look at that pretty. You can get down here, you can really see its color. There you go. That's how that one looks. So, okay, I think I'm going to close it off for today and try to get busy doing some work for it today, and hopefully all this week, and hopefully you'll see a lot of differences. And this is another thing I need to do, is all the pots that have trellises or tomato cages in them, I've got to get those done. I still want to get some of this volunteer bat flower out and put in various pots, and then redo this pot. I'll leave some in it probably too. But all these pots need to have seeds planted on them that I'd love to get going with pretty color on there. There's just several different ones that I have. White black-eyed Susan is one of the ones I want on one. Maybe just the regular yellow black-eyed Susans too. We'll see. And what is that corkscrew vine? I got some seeds of it too. But I need to get them on there so they'll have a chance to get big enough to actually make a pretty showing. So that's my hope, to get that done today, or some of that. I know I won't get it all done, but hopefully I get a great deal of it finished today. At the beginning of this movie clip, I said that time marches on in the garden, and I was looking back at when we first cleaned the garden out. I think I named it Tired But Happy, but anyway, just the difference of the way it is now is just amazing. That was a tiny little nubbins coming up out of the ground. Now it's a giant bush, or what I would think of as giant compared to how it used to be. And this is the St. John's wort. Of course, the Amaryllis were not even up out of the ground yet. But all along this has just grown and grown until it's practically overgrown, and will be overgrown before you know it. But just the difference, how it is in the garden, how when you're watching it, you don't notice that it changes at all. But if you look back at some of the pictures you took before, you can really see a tremendous change in the garden from just one little month to another, 1 week to another even. I guess I'm going to take these one more time too, even though I know they look horrible, but I'm hoping they'll look good real soon. Hopefully today I'll actually even get them started. And you can see some tiny little I think that's both Agastache or Agastiki, however you say that, hummingbird mint, and the blue petunias. And the other day I said poppies. I get those names mixed up, but they're petunias that I have in here, but they're very pretty with the green and the yellow green color, and the deep blue just really sets it off and brings your attention to it. So in this one already has, you can see more of that Agastiki or Agastache or however you call it. It's also called hummingbird mint. That's what I should say, because that's the name I can say. But all this other stuff I really don't particularly want in there. I might leave a larkspur or put one in the other one and one in this one, that I want to get all the old dead stuff cleaned out and get it going again, get that Solidago out of there. I'm going to have to fight Solidago for a good long while. But I will, because it's just too aggressive. Even though I love it, I just think it's so pretty, but it's not. There's some more of it coming up right down there, right there. But it just comes up from seed, comes up from root, just takes over. But anyway, I guess I'll really try to leave you at that now. I keep finding things I want to tell you, and I'm tired. I know you can tell it in my voice. I don't have the enthusiasm that I normally have, but it's still there. It's just tired. It's going to come back when I get the stuff done and just get to filming again. But this little redbud tree is a little piece off of the one in the back, and the one in the back was a little piece off of my sister's, or a little one that came up beside it. So they've both grown and this one's coming into its own, and the one in the back is in its own, has been for quite a while. So anyway, there we are for today, and I've got to get busy. Hi, it's Nancy with the Grove Garden, and we are getting rain. Every gardener loves the rain, as long as it's not destructive. We just welcome it and thank God for it. I did want to put a quick little intro on this part of our time marching on. I've just been starting right out without an intro on them. That in the previous one, or no, I think it's actually in this one, I'm fixing to put on the little pink plant that I mentioned is called bloodleaf plant. And then the little vine that is orange is called Mexican flame vine. So I will finish putting that on there, and I think there'll be one more part after this one. Well, evening is fast approaching. It'll soon be dark. It's almost dusky dark now. But I did get all of these little pots filled out today. It feels like I should have got a whole lot more done than I did, though. But this one I put that pretty pink and yellow Calabrichoa in, and then this little kind of a yellow green with bright pink or mauve red stripes of coleus in there. And then the next pot here I put, it had the little pink dianthus, so I kind of stayed with that pink theme, and I added a Dusty Miller right back there. I added a brighter pink Calabrichoa, a pretty little pink vinca or periwinkle, and a pretty little pink verbena, and a coleus with some pink in it. And then I started to do this little pot, and I realized that there's just a whole lot of stuff coming up in this little pot.
So I actually decided to leave it and see what would come up in there. I'm quite sure that some of these are little volunteer petunias, and that may be basically what's in there. I think there's a few celosia in there also. So I'm going to see what is in there before I put anything else in there with it. And then this little plot, I already had her fixed up, but I put my little angel back in. And this little pot also has volunteers coming up, and I think these are the celosias. And then I also added that yellow coxcomb celosia in with those burgundy, and that may shine. It may be a pretty combination. We'll kind of have to wait till it grows up to see. It has promise. And then this little pot I did with the calabachoa. This is kind of a fuchsia red, or a fuchsia pink or a red. I think it could go either way, just depending on what you put with it. But I put mostly with it, it had this little dianthus there, and then I added a Dusty Miller, a reddish, has some pink in it too, in that color of coleus. And then this is also a coxcomb celosia, and I am not sure what color it is. It was in a little mixed little pot, so I'm not sure what color it is. This one up here, I just added a little purslane moss in it, and I'll put something else in that later too. This one I did put some seeds in the back of it. This one had the pretty red and white dianthus, and so I added, and I can't remember the name of this little pink, this little pink, bright pink flower. I'll have to look the name of that one up. And then a vinca or periwinkle there with it. I already had my Persian shield in here, and I added this little dianthus and this little calabachoa in the purple. It has some vines on here. These are I can't think of it, of course. They're bright orange, pretty. I can't think of it right now. I'll think of it later, tell you. But you can tell I'm tired. And this one I already had done. So that made it all the way around. I still have not decided for sure what I want in this little pot to add in with it, but I know I do want something else. I took the dirt out of this, loosened it up, and put some more fresh dirt in and filled it back up. And there's a little dianthus that I don't really know what color are. They were also in that mixed dianthus pot or package. So but they'll be pretty. All the dianthus are always pretty. I didn't get this little pot anything really done to it, but I want to put more color in it than I had last year. It had just this little white alyssum, and I just like it better with more color. I added this little calabachoa in yellow to this pot. I started to throw this pot away. The rim's already broken off, but as I got to looking at it closely, I did realize that there are little volunteer petunias coming up in it too. So I'm going to leave that another year. And that little tiny green right there is a thundercloud sedum, which is very pretty. There's one bigger up here in this pot, and then that's the ponytail grass in that pot beside it. And this pot I did today. I always like to do a pot with this color of, it's called Molten Lava Rose Coleus, and then with the Creeping Jenny, because it will trail down the pot, and this green and this other, the two greens will eventually just match, or they usually do. This green actually looks a little darker than it normally does, but I think they'll still match wonderfully. I always like to have a little pot with these two in it together. And then I also did this little pot over here, and I just put some little purple calabachoa there and some purple vinca right there, or periwinkle, whichever you call that. And right behind it is a little purple sage. Can you see that? There it is. Little purple sage there. So looks like my banana tree is trying to come out of its dormancy. And that's, no, oh, let's see, I say that's about all, but there's a couple of more things, because I did come down here, clean out the old dead stuff out of this, and I do see that I do have a few volunteer petunias, and I'm pretty sure those are going to be the deep blue or purple, and that's this one right here is just a little volunteer larkspur. It probably will be the blue also. And then right there in the center, I went ahead and moved that over a little, and I think it'll still do well, and that's the agastache or hummingbird mint. So I kind of did the same thing to this other little pot right here, which it has a bigger hummingbird mint in it, and it didn't have any of the petunias, unless I think there might have been a few just right down in here. Maybe not. I'm not seeing any now, or I may have covered them up with that dirt. But either way, I'll have to put some more in there, and I'm pretty sure I have some seeds that I can plant there. I was hoping I'd have some volunteer come up, because they usually do, but I guess they didn't in that one this time. And then this little pot, I just put some fresh dirt and some seeds, several different kinds of seeds, so hopefully they'll come up and look gorgeous. And that's just about the end of the day for me. I started out tired and I ended up tired, and I was hoping to get the whole front finished, but I didn't, not really. It's just, you can see I still have several pots, little pots that I want to go ahead and get. There's some pretty impatiens and coleus, that beautiful white diamond euphorbia. I'll definitely want to get some of these in my pots. I might get to use some of these impatiens in some of the ones that the snails killed, so we'll see how that goes too. Hopefully, and I didn't get any of my perennials in the ground, so hopefully I'll get that done sometime this week. I would say tomorrow, but chances are that's not going to happen tomorrow either, but possibly it will. So it is coming together. My husband brought me a glass of water 2 times today. He gave up on that last one. I had to get my own water. He even put a little cover on it so dirt wouldn't get into it, and that's sweet. See if there's any I did over here. I put this little icicles licorice plant in with the mint licorice plant and the pretty little stained glass plum coleus, trailing coleus. I put this little Swedish ivy, variegated Swedish ivy, in this pot with my other ivy that's practically dead from the winter, but it'll come back now that it's outside. I think it'll do really well. So over here, let's see if there's any pots that I did. My brother painted this little bird here for me too. I think it is so cute. It's one of my favorite things that he painted. And I thought I would see if I actually could make use of it for something. Like there's a drip right off the eave right here, and I thought it might actually hit that little thing and divert it away from the pot. We'll try that and see how it'll work. So this little pot here is my copper plant that's dormant, and I'm hoping it will come out of dormancy. We'll just have to wait and see on that too. It may or it may not. This little pot I did, and I put a bunch of perlite on the top of it because I did put impatiens in there, and the impatiens have that little watery stem that the roly-polies and the slugs and the snails just love. I put another one of the pretty yellow and white. See if you can get that where you can actually see the colors on that. They're trying to close up right now, but hopefully that'll open up and just look really pretty eventually. That's the plan. That yellow and blue is just gorgeous together. Yeah, you can see there's still pots here that don't have anything in them. This one doesn't. Enjoy the rain with me while I put on the last of our Time Marches On in the Garden series that I took yesterday. See, there's still pots here that don't have anything in them. This one doesn't. This little one right here beside it doesn't. This one's looking good though, so I'll focus in on that. This will focus on the good. This is called a panda plant. It has a black and white bloom, and it bloomed for me this winter. It was really fun to see it over there, and it stayed for a long time, actually until I brought it out. It was still blooming. And then these are some more that may or may not, they have something dormant in them, but whether they'll break dormancy or it'll just die, I'm not sure at all. And I put one of the little silver sage seedlings in here. We'll see if it'll be all right or not. I put some gravel around it. Sometimes that seems to protect them, but we'll just have to wait and see. And I also planted some elephant ears right back here and right here in the front where there's a little spot of ground there. I planted elephant ears in that. I have not planted my caladiums yet, and I really wanted to get those in the ground, but again, maybe tomorrow. But they'll be pretty when they do bloom. I'm not really sure where I'm going to put them. I might go ahead and put them back here where I put oh my, I'm so tired I can't even think of the little feathery plume type plants that I had put in each of these, but I did it before that last two frosts, so I don't know. They're not seeming to come out. They may not. I would love to get astilbes, that's the name of them. Would love to get astilbes started back there in those pots where they would come back each year, but I'm really not seeing anything of them. I may just go ahead and put the caladiums back there, but I haven't decided for sure yet. I'm still hoping they'll come out of it and show up for me. But that's about it for today, which seems to be plenty for a day. because I've been out here basically all day except for breakfast, and had breakfast with my husband, and then came outside. All of our snowballs are gone off the snowball bush. I put my little angel back up on her post out here. She had fallen off in the wind, so she's back looking pretty again. And all of her dirt and everything in here came out, so hopefully I've got it watered back in. I hope it'll be all right. But that's the way the garden is tonight, and hopefully we'll get lots more done tomorrow. I thought I'd just focus in on this pretty pink and white verbena there. Isn't that beautiful? And then it's got that pretty little coleus behind it. So I hope that one will do really well for me this summer too.